Everyone, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this live webinar on December 16th. December is usually a month which, a lot is going on, especially if you are with kids, you are a kid, there's a lot around you. But for us as Sikhs, it's also a very special month. And recently, more than ever before, there's also been a lot of discussion about what are some things that we can do to celebrate, or to kind of remind ourselves genuinely about the month of December, and especially about Guru Gobind Singh Sahib and the Sahibzade and the Gursikhs of the time. So keeping that in mind, usually we do a webinar for children. And in the last 2 years, we've actually talked directly about Guru Gobind Singh Sahib or the Sahibzade. And this time we are doing it a little bit different. Unfortunately, Harliv Kaur is not able to join me this year. Usually we do this together. But just so all of you know that some of the discussions around this came to be because both of us had just discussed it together. So one word that kept on coming up for me was the word Sudha. And I want all of you to think about whether you know this word or not. If you know this word, then go ahead and think, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Sudha? And feel free to even maybe put it into the chat panel if you want. And if Kiran feels there's something she really feels she wants to share, she can. I don't mind her interrupting me to share that. So if you know the word Sura, if you've heard of it, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? If you don't know the word Sura, given that we had started talking about Sahibzade, Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, what do you think it may be? I want you to think just a little bit about that. So we will talk about it a little bit more. I haven't seen anything in the panel yet, or I haven't heard Kiran interrupt yet, so I'll continue on. Another question that actually comes to mind is, who is a warrior? When we think about December, we think about a lot of the battles that took place, with Guru Gobind Singh Sahib and the Vadde Sahibzade and the Chali Mukte. And so what comes to your mind when you think about who is a warrior? Well, in the dictionary, when I looked online, I said, "Oh, let me see what does the dictionary have to say about it." And they gave me two different kind of definitions that I thought I should put in here. And one was one who is engaged in or experienced in battle. So anytime you think of someone who is on the battlefield with swords in their hands or guns in their hands or different weapons in their hands, automatically you think of them as a warrior, and that's usually the first image that most people, I'm not going to say all, that most people, that image kind of comes up as to most people's image when they first are asked or are told to think about warrior, or even if someone is just talking about so and so was a great warrior, the first thing they think is that someone who fought really valiantly, someone who had experience in battle. And then another way is that someone is in this battle is using these active weapons to aggressively or energetically, interact because of an activity or a cause or conflict. So they have a reason, a particular reason in mind as to why they are doing that. You know, why they have these weapons and why they're fighting. But the important thing over here I want everyone to start thinking about is that, you know, it has something to do with some kind of a cause or conflict that's going on, that they need to that they're seen as a warrior. So Sura is actually in Gurbani. It's a word in Gurbani that's used, and actually it's 32 times it shows up in the Guru Granth Sahib, and it's used by Pandit Kabir Ji, Guru Nanak Sahib, Guru Amar Das Sahib, and Guru Arjan Sahib. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about what Pandit Kabir Ji, how Pandit Kabir Ji is using it, and also about how Guru Arjan Sahib is using it. Those are two Shabads that we're going to look at. But Guru Nanak Sahib and Guru Amar Das Sahib actually use Sura a lot in terms of the divine being the ultimate Sura, the ultimate brave warrior who is taking care of us, who is protecting us. It comes in that sort of a context, and so you know, that's something that I thought was interesting, but not uncommon. You know, to see that ultimately who is the Sura and whose qualities do we need to take on. It also comes in by Gurdas Ji's Vara, and also in some Dasam Bani, it comes a lot. Another word for Sura that's used is Surma, and we'll see in one of the Shabads right now that both words are actually used. So in many ways, Sura in Gurbani is described as brave hero, warrior, spiritual hero, but ultimately kind of meaning the same, you know, a warrior, but not necessarily only the one who, you know, has picked up arms to fight. And that's what we're going to look a little bit at, is how does one truly become a Sudha? What does it mean for one to become a Sudha? Sorry, are you able to see the screen still? Karen?
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so the first Shabad we're going to look at is by Pandit Kabir Ji. Pandit Kabir Ji, you know, and the Shabad is on page 1105 of Guru Granth Sahib, on 1105. And this, I think, having been to a lot of camps and having been to a lot of Khalsa school settings, this is one Shabad that is used to energize a lot of us children. And usually, you know, they'll start with the line which uses Sura, which is Sura so pechaniye jo lade deen ke het, purja purja kat mare kabu na chade khet. So that's the second, as you can see in the Shabad, that's the second part of the line. And the first part of the line is Gaganda mama bajyo paryo nisane kao, khet jo mandyo surma, ab chujan ko tao. So actually, when I try to look at the Shabad, it kind of makes sense to me to look at it from the beginning and say, okay, what is Guru Sahib saying in this Salok? He's saying that, you know what? He's creating this kind of image for us that, yes, a battleground is starting. This image of a battleground where the battle drums are beating. Okay. And as they're beating, where are they really beating? It's not a battleground that is on the ground. It's on earth. It's the battleground that is starting to kind of beat within your mind. And there's some kind of an aim that has been inflicted to you on your mind. And this aim is that you are starting to enter the field of battle where you are starting to see a connection with the divine. You're starting to, you know, see what are these precious, qualities of the divine. And then he continues on to say, that once you have that aim, and your mind is struck with that aim in mind, then you are the spiritual hero, the warrior who is ready to stand up for in defense of the weak. Deen is also known as religion, but also in this case, is talking about being in the midst of those who need you most, the defense of the weak. And for those, you're kind of spiritually standing up as a hero, as a warrior. But, once we do that, once we are able to enter that kind of state, the true spiritual hero is one who, no matter what the challenges are, no matter what keeps coming your way, they never leave that battlefield. Once they make that commitment to that, they may be cut up literally, or just thinking about it. They may be cut up piece by piece. Their mind can be shattered. People can try to make it most difficult for them, but they are ready to stand there for the weak and defend the defenseless. Those who cannot defend themselves, they're willing to stand and defend for them. And in history, we've seen that in good history, we've seen there's a lot of examples, as such, starting from Guru Nanak Sahib himself, when he used the weapon that he used was not, he didn't need to use a sword. He used a pen as his weapon, or he used his Bani as his weapon to awaken people, to have them understand that, hey, some of these things where we're getting tortured in Babur's, rule is not acceptable. He makes a ruckus and gets thrown out of the jails of Babur because he makes people think, and he starts helping the defenseless start getting connected with themselves so that they can start defending others also. So that's why this Shabad, there's a lot that, it's a small slope. There's just two slopes, right? Small, but there's a lot in there that it's kind of telling us and making us do. So, well, there's another Shabad that uses Sura, and in this it kind of explains, well, who can be called a warrior? Yes, we have to, we know that a warrior is one who is going to be standing with those who are defenseless. We kind of understand that at a general level. But this Shabad, which is by Guru Arjan Sahib, is Jaako har rang lago is jug mein, so kayat hai Sura. I'm going to read just the Gurmukhi, and on the next slide we'll kind of look at it from an English perspective. But I want you to look at some of the words over here and think about if you yourself can translate some of it, and then we'll go to the next slide and translate it as well. So again, Jaako har rang lago is jug mein, so kayat hai Sura, Atam jineh Sagal vastan ke janka satgur pura. Atam jineh sagal vastan ke janka satgur pura. Thakur gaiye atam rang. Sarani pavan naam teavan sej samavan sang. Jan ke charan vase mere hiyare sang punita dehi. Janki tood deho kirpanid nanak ke sukh ehi. Again, this is not a very long Shabad either, but this, as you can see, has a Rahau line, and a Rahau line is the central kind of theme of the Shabad. So, and just for your reference, if you need to know, it is on page Ang 679 of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. I'm going to put out the whole Shabad so that we can start actually at the Rahal line. Now, if you look at the Rahal line, it says, Thakur gaye atam rang, sarni pavan naam te avan, sehaj samavan sang. Let's sing the divine praises of the divine master, but with your heart full of love. In the shelter and remembrance, one finds connection with the divine just automatically, just easily. So one of the things is that Guru Sahib is saying, see, when we sing the divine praises, the praises of the divine master, but obviously with full, complete love within ourselves, something will happen. Something is happening. And we'll look at the line above later, but it says, and then when you come into the constant remembrance, when you're constantly remembering what these divine praises are, and you're converting these praises into actions, because these praises of the divine are just not, oh, God is very nice, right? These are, Vaheguru has the qualities that we see in Mool Mantra. Those are the praises of divine. So if we're starting to take those qualities and put them into action, that is when we are completely imbued with divine's love. And that is when we can be called a warrior, which is the first line. Jako har rang lago is jug mein, so kayat hai Sura. So one who is imbued in the divine's love is called a warrior. Now, another way of kind of explaining this that I've heard others say, and I've read a little bit about also, is that So Kayat has Sura is called, yes, is warrior. That's the most common kind of way of saying it, but also a warrior is complete. This individual is complete because they are imbued in divine love and are able to act on it. Now, how are you really, truly able to be imbued with divine love is if you are able to win over yourself, win over your mind. If you are able to win over your mind with the perfect guru as your backing, then you will be able to influence all. Then all your actions will be dependent on that. All your actions will come from there. So the one who has the perfect guru, who has committed to the perfect guru, that person learns to win over oneself and influence all. And then we go down to the line under, which is Jan ke charan vase mere hiyare sang punita dehi. You know what? How do I know that this kind of works, or how do I know this is going to become so? Is because when I look at those who are in service of the divine, in service of the Vaheguru, in service of Vaheguru, then their company is going to make my actions truthful. That is what's going to make me help me constantly remember that I need to put this love. The love that I talk about is actually action. That's how I know that I am completely imbued in love. And it ends with Janki tur deho kirpanid nanak ke sukh ehi. O treasure of grace. Who is the treasure of grace? Vaheguru is the treasure of grace. And Guru Sahib asks for himself and on behalf of ourselves, give us the company of those who are constantly in your service. Because seeing them, following them, that's when I am going to feel continuous happiness. So that, in my mind, tells me who truly a warrior is. It's not only about picking up the sword or picking up the gun and fighting. Yes, there's an aspect of that, and that is needed. But when you realize that you have a mission and you're completely colored in Vaiguru's love. The word that's also used is rang, right? Rang is color. So when you are completely colored in Vaiguru's love, whatever you do will come from that, and that's what's going to make you a true warrior, a complete warrior. So let's look at some examples. Let's see. I'm not able to move my. Is there a reason I'm not able to move my slides?
I don't think so.
Maybe because, I see down here, perhaps.
I cannot see other than your screen, nothing.
Okay, give me 1 second and let me see if I can get back to it.
Is it the last screen? Is that why?
Yeah, it may have been. It's actually not letting me. It's not letting me move my.
I see this is the last slide number 17.
Oh, I don't. Is that what you're seeing? The last slide?
Yeah, the green one. Who can be called a warrior?
No, that's slide number
6?
4 or 5. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay.
But I'm not able to move anything actually. Is it because something's frozen on go to webinar or?
The webinar is running fine. You want to restart your PowerPoint?
That's what I tried to do. Wait. Sorry. Let me see. Is my screen still being shared?
Yes.
Okay, and it's not letting me move it on. Can I change you back to presenter and then you can change me back to presenter again? Can we try that?
Sure, just give me 1 moment.
Okay.
Okay, so do you see my screen?
No, I don't.
It's showing my screen.
Okay, yeah, now I see it.
Okay, I'm gonna change it back to you now.
Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay. All right, here we go.
Thank you everyone for bearing with us.
Okay. All right, so we were going to start talking about some of these individuals who have taken on, these qualities. And some of them you may have heard of, some of them they may be new to you. Some other individuals may come to your mind. So maybe at the end, if we have time, you can share some of those. So let's start with Bhai Bidhi Chand. Some of you have probably heard of Bhai Bidhi Chand. He was a Sikh during the time of Guru Arjan Sahib and Guru Har Gobind Sahib. And actually, before meeting Guru Arjan Sahib, he was kind of a chief by profession. And one day, a Gursikh of Guru Arjan Sahib brought him to Guru Arjan Sahib, and meeting with Guru Arjan Sahib, talking to Guru Arjan Sahib, seeing the lifestyle of Guru Arjan Sahib, completely transformed by Bidhi Chand. And so he actually ended up wanting to, be with Guru Arjan Sahib a lot. And in fact, he was one of the five who had accompanied Guru Arjan Sahib to his Shahidi as well, just to the area. And he became he Guru Hargobind Sahib at this after the Shahidi had started asking for horses and military. He kind of started the military tradition, so to say, and so he made Bidhi Chand one of the commanders of the one of the cavalries, and but he's mostly known for a particular a Sakhi where he brings back to Guru Hargobind Sahib these two horses that a Gursikh of Guru Hargobind Sahib had been trading since they were kind of born. They were these really beautiful horses, and they were quite famous. And they had become so famous where the stables of the governor of Lahore wanted them, and when the governor heard of it, he he said, "Oh, tell me about these. I want to go get these, you know, uh, beautiful horses." And so instead of the Gursikhs being able to try to bring it to Guru Hargobind Sahib, these horses were kind of captured. And Bidhi Chand found out about this, knew about this, and so what he did was he went to the stables of the governor, and he disguised himself, disguised himself, uh, and as an astrologer, nonetheless. And so he goes there and he shows them, he kind of demonstrated to them, you know, different ways and different things. And he eventually gets them to not realize that he is actually taking one of the horses away, because he's kind of showing them these different things. So he takes one of the horses away, and they're in shock that, oh my goodness, this guy, we were talking to him, we were trusting him. He how did he do this? But somehow through his good disguise, he was able to do it. Now the other horse that was left behind was actually had started, they say, started getting quite ill, and so they wanted to get that one back too, because it rightfully belonged to the guru, because the Guru Sikh was bringing it to Guru Sahib. And so he actually goes back and disguises himself again, and is able to manage to bring it back to the Guru Sahib. He is an amazing horse rider, because in this next image you'll see he actually jumps through this big forest into the Ravi River, and escapes from there. So he's not only used his physical charm of knowing how to ride the horse, and of course we already said he was the commander of the cavalry, but he's also used his mental wit to do this. And so a couple of things I want us to remember is that before doing any of this, before using his wit, before uh, training himself in horse riding or weaponry, he was a Sikh of the Guru, and he committed to what the Guru's mission was. He committed to understanding what the Guru had wanted. And because of that, he was able to act and provide what was needed at the time. Now, further on, Guru Sahib actually also sent him to different areas to talk about Sikhi, to spread the message of Ek Onkar at the time. So he wasn't only refined to being the so-called combat warrior or the carer of the horses and stuff. So those were things that he definitely knew. So again, a reminder that he was first the Sikh of the Guru, and then started to understand and put into action what was needed for the time. Then here is, we're going to talk about Bhai Jeta Ji. Bhai Jeta Ji was actually the individual who brought Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib's cease, his head, from Delhi all the way to Anandpur Sahib, to where Guru Gobind Singh Sahib and the rest of the family were. And he too, his family, were Sikhs of Guru Har Rai Sahib. So since Guru Har Rai Sahib, their families were Sikhs of the Guru, and he happened to be in Delhi not because he knew that Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib and Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib's Sikhs were going to Delhi, but he actually had gone there to look for his cousin, who was also a Sikh of the Guru. But he was there, and of course, when he was there in Delhi, he knew what was going on, and he was somehow disguised a little bit so that he's not very visible as a Sikh of the Guru being around. But he was there when the beheading of Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib was to take place, and when it did take place, he was able to take Guru Sahib's cease and leave for Anandpur Sahib. Now, a couple of things. One, he wasn't even there for like this purpose, right? So Guru Gobind Singh Sahib had not told him that, hey, since you'll be going to Delhi, it's going to be your job to please bring back Guru Sahib's cease to us. Bhai Jeta Ji decided that how could I leave the cease of my Guru here? And so he chooses to do this act. But when he's doing this, there's also a big likelihood that he could be attacked, he could be killed, anything can happen to him as well. But that didn't matter to him, because he had won over himself that, what, my life is in service to what is right. And at this moment, what is right is for me to take Guru Sahib's cease back to Guru Gobind Singh Sahib. And so he returned with the cease, and the story goes that Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, kind of brought him close to himself and called him Rangreta Guru Ka Beta, basically saying that he was known to be from the Rangar village. And so he said, you are the Guru's son, to have done this. It was amazing in a way. That's kind of, he was saying, but to give a blessing, so to say, that, you're my son, was a huge thing for him and his village people as well. So he continued to stay on, and in 1699 he took Amrit, and he also helped train the older Sahibzade in weaponry. So again, he was familiar with this. He was training himself, because if he was a Sikh from the time of Guru Har Rai Sahib, probably around Guru, he wasn't a Sikh, but his family was a Sikh from Guru Har Rai Sahib. They continued on, and this tradition was a part of them. And so he too actually achieved Shahidi in the Battle of Chamkor. So again, to make the right decisions at the right time was something that he was able to do because he was able to win over his mind, so to say. He didn't have these worries of what is going to happen to me. And why was he able to do that? Because he knew he had the support of his guru, no matter what. All right, a lot of us are familiar with Mai Pago, and Mai Pago, of course, was a woman, and even now, even today, when sometimes we do workshops, we ask children or even maybe sometimes adults to draw a picture of a warrior. And very, very rarely will you see that someone will draw a picture of a female warrior because somehow in their minds, they think that, men are the ones who are on the forefront of being warriors. But no, during the time of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, there were 40 of his Sikhs who kind of said to him, we're not happy. We're not getting enough to eat. We're not well rested. We're not able to do this anymore. And what they did was they signed a letter to Guru Sahib saying, you are no longer our Guru and we are no longer your Sikhs, because that's what Guru Sahib said. If you do want to leave, that's okay. But I would like you to say this to me. And of one of those 40, one of the 40 was my Pago's, Mata Pago's husband. And when he came back, she was extremely ashamed that how could you abandon your guru, you know? And who are you to abandon your guru? The guru is the one who's constantly in your support and your back, and you kind of, just left him because it wasn't convenient for you because you were not able to, because you were going through a little bit of a hardship. So what she did was she kind of, got everyone back together and said, we got to go back and be with our guru. And so she went back, and they fought in the Battle of Kidrana, and she was eventually enlisted as Guru Gobind Singh Sahib's bodyguard. So even though during the time of the gurus there had already become this understanding that genders, men and women, there really aren't that many differences. Even Guru Amar Das Sahib, at his time, they were talking about that. Guru Nanak Sahib said there's equality between men and women. Still, from a cultural level, it wasn't getting fulfilled as much. And so culturally, you could see that not too many, women were able to get up and do what Mai Pago did. But similarly, for her, she grew up kind of knowing who her guru is. She grew up with the support of her parents. Her mother, had taught her well of how to run the kitchen, and her father had taught her well about horse riding and weaponry and how to strategize, because it wasn't only coming and fighting, right? She had to think about ways to get back there and to be that. So again, how was she able to do that? Because she was able to know who she was and get over the fact that, oh, you know what? it's okay. If I stay home, then, maybe I'll end up getting more. If I go out there, I'm just going to uh, hurt myself, or, it's not going to be safe for me. So I better not do this. So this didn't happen. As we know, she's very well known in the Sikh, uh, and we often use her as a um, as an example, and we continue to use her as an example, and we should use her as a role model, but we need to remember the things that she did, and kind of follow those as well. So moving on now, you know in around the 17 late middle 1700s, early to mid 1700s, um, what had happened was that there was a campaign kind of going on to get rid of all Sikhs, that because more and more the Sikhs had gained a strong momentum. It was very clear that the Sikhs had a clear mindset. They believed in uh, being there for those who needed it most. And here was but also there came a time where a lot of them had to go into hiding because the government had kind of said, we give everyone free reign. You can go and do whatever you want to the Sikhs. And by the way, if you bring us a Sikh, or you bring us a head of a Sikh, or give us a whereabouts of a Sikh, we're going to pay you too. And so, the Mughals, they started saying, especially the Mughal Pathans around, they started saying, oh, you know what, there are no more Sikhs are left anymore. And no one is, they would just talk of these being brave, but there really aren't any more left. Well, the Sikhs, they were strategizing at the time. They were in the jungles figuring out, what do we do? What kind of things do we need to do? But here is an example of, by Bota Singh and Garja Singh. They were two travelers who had kind of secretly visited, Darbar Sahib, Harmandir Sahib, and on their way back, they were kind of hiding, and we don't know how the story really goes. Possibly, some Mughal soldiers saw them and tried to mock them. They tried to make fun and say, "Hey, no more Sikhs are around anymore." And these two companions, they were like quite upset, like, "Oh my goodness, how can this be true? How can we let the world feel that there are no more Sikhs?" So what they did was they got to this busy road between Punjab and connecting Lahore to connecting Lahore to Delhi, and they said, you know what, we are going to take this bridge over here, and anyone that passes by, if they are on a donkey, we're going to ask them for like money, which is maybe, let's say, a quarter. And anyone who has like a caravan, we're going to ask them for 4 quarters. And that means that means is they're taxing them. They're saying that if you want to use this bridge, then you got to pay us, okay? Because we are the ones who are in charge of this area. We are basically the people who own this area. So we're the government here. That's kind of what they were trying to explain to them. So, you know, it was getting a little frustrating for the governor of Lahore, and he was like, who are these people? How are they, doing this? That too, with us there. So he sends his people and tells them, can you guys go figure this out? Fix this. And so he sends about I think less than 100 people or so, soldiers, and they kind of see the power that just the two of these guys have, and it doesn't. They're like surprised, like, wow, how can we, these guys are pretty amazing. In their minds, probably thinking, oh, there's no such thing as there are no Sikhs left, right? Obviously. So then, this continues on for a little bit. And then what Bota Singh does is he actually sends a letter to the governor, Zakaria Khan, his name, and he says to him in Punjabi, it says, Chitti likhe Singh Bota, hat hai sota, vich raah khalota, anna laya gadde nu, paisa laya khota, akho pabi khado nu, yo aakhe Singh Bota. So he's saying, I'm sending you a letter. He's sending a letter, but he's kind of making fun of Zakaria Khan, calling him like a pabo or a pabi. And he's saying, I'm telling you this. This is what I'm doing over here. There's no such hiding. And so, more soldiers come, and they fight to their fullest, but they take on Shahidi at that time. To do this. Now, there are a couple of things that are kind of going on over here. Some of it is wondering, well, why, these are Gursikhs. Why were they hiding in the first place? What was going on? Well, sometimes you have to make certain decisions in your life that you have to see how is it going to benefit in the long run. And as a result, what it also gives you is time to strategize. So they were trying to the Sikhs who were hiding in the jungle, so to say, were trying to figure out ways to mobilize themselves again and do this. So while they're doing this, though, an important thing that was going on was that they were still living their Gursikh life. They were still connecting with the divine through their daily nicknames. They were still connecting and understanding what is the sole purpose for us, in life. And Bota Singh and Garja Singh were part of that too. They wanted to keep that connection. And when they felt that yes, they were insulted, they could have easily said, oh yeah, they're just talking about the Sikhs. We're just two people. We can't really do anything about it. They could have done that, but they decided not to. They decided to do something about it. Now, Guru Gobind Singh Sahib says that, even my one Sikh can be as if there were 125,000 Sikhs. So if we want to make a difference, if we really put our mind to it, if we really have made up our mind we want to make some kind of difference, we will. But the idea is doing something about it. And this, I think, is a good example to show, yes, in the end, they did attain Shahidi. But see, today, 2017, December 16th, Sikh organization, Sikh Research Institute, is using it as an example to share who our ancestors were, right? And they didn't do it because they wanted us to share who our ancestors were, but they did it because they believed in being free individuals and not being forced by anyone to say you need to, if you don't become a Muslim, we will not let you live, right? So they were fighting that. So that's another way to think about how they had to overcome their fears in order to do that. So the last one we're going to talk about today is Bibi Baghel Kaur, and she was around in the early to mid 70s. She was born into a Hindu family, and when she got married, as they were taking her to her in-laws' house, to her husband's house. Usually the distances were long at the time, and so on the way, what would happen is that the Mughals would come and they would try to loot all the dowry or all the things that was going along with the newly wed bride and the whole kind of caravan that was going around. So she was actually captured by the Mughals for a long time. And her husband was known as Teja Singh, and he met with Gursikhs, and he kind of realized what their mission was and what their thoughts was, and he took Amrit and became a Gursikh himself. And so he, started again. The Gursikh started strategizing. How do we go and help these women who are captured? It's our job to make sure that we bring them back. So they were able to do that. Teja Singh was able to do that along with other soldiers, and was able to actually bring back Bibi Baghel Kaur. But she was so distraught by this time, and kind of had given up on life and didn't want to, you know, continue on. But when she saw the lifestyle of the Gursikhs, when she saw the transformation of her husband, she realized what it meant to make this commitment to this mission. Okay, so she learned that, you know what, when I make a commitment to something, I can follow through. So she learned weaponry, she learned, and alongside her husband, she too started fighting these small battles. In fact, she ended up leading a lot of the women troops. And there came a time where Mir Manu, who was another, you know, individual who was really a huge bully to the Sikhs, to women, to children, and he wanted to really just get rid of all the Sikhs. What he had done is he had taken on jails where he captured women and children. And what he would do is, back then, they weren't machines to grind wheat and stuff like that. The women, they had to do it with their hands. And so they were given these grinds to grind wheat throughout the day, like, which is really difficult to do continuously for a long, long time. And as they would do this, they would actually torture, hurt their children really, really bad as well. And they didn't give them much to eat. And so you could just clearly see that they were torturing basically the mothers and the children, and trying to say to them, we'll stop this torture if you guys convert to Islam, if you become part of our religion. But all these mothers, they didn't give up. They had made a commitment to their guru, and even though they were seeing these horrible things that were happening, they had won over their mind. They had won over their your minds to be able to get over that. And Bibi Baghel Kaur, she helped, kind of. She saw this happening. She helped them kind of get over this. She also later on, after Mir Manu died, they were also when Abdali came, they were still getting and capturing women and taking them to the soldiers. So she continuously kept on fighting that and working towards that. And there was one situation where she had to decide between trying to help a woman or go back with her own soldiers. And she decided to help a woman, and as a result, she ended up in the camps where a lot of women were captured. And she was one of the women, though, who would refuse to just take it as is. She would speak up against everything and fight against everything, and to the best of our ability, continue to fight against them. But in the end, she did also attain Shahidi, and passed away. There, but not without a complete fight. So again, this is an example of maybe someone who wasn't born or brought up in the Sikh faith, but once she realized what the mission was, what the connection was with the divine, um, there was no going back for her. And there was an example that, even when she would lead the women troops, they would stop and they would do their nitnem, and they would do their pot and do their banis to realize that. So how did all these, women, women, men, individuals, how were they able to um, do this? you know, we yes, we talk about, kind of winning over our mind. And so here is another Shabad, kind of brings it all together, I think, for me, is another Shabad which talks about what kind of a wrestler, what kind of a warrior we all have to kind of be in order to be that Sura warrior that we should be. And so it starts like this. It's in Siddhi Rag, in Rag Siddhi Rag Malla Panjwa. Ho Gosai da Pehelwanada, मैं गुर मिल ऊंच दुमालड़ा सब होई चिंज खटिया दोए बैठा वेखे आप जियो. I am a small wrestler of the world force. I met with the Guru and adorned a high-plumed turban. All have gathered to watch, and the divine sits and watches the play. So Guru Sahib over here, what he's doing is he's kind of creating this battlefield for us. And he's saying, okay, here I am a wrestler. I'm a wrestler of the one who is the main force of this world, of the earth. Okay? And because I met my Guru, I was given a large dastar, a large turban. And when I was reading, what I found out is that the one who was considered strong, the one who won, would be given this big huge dastar with a plume. It would be like a chunj, they would say, that would come out on the side, and they would then walk around the battlefield for everyone to see them, so that they knew that, oh, here comes the wrestler. And so Guru Sahib is saying that, I am that wrestler. I am out here, but I'm not the wrestler who's going to fight for me first. I am my earth forces wrestler, and everyone has gathered to see this match, and most importantly, who's sitting there is the divine who's watching this. I can hear these bugles, these drum beats going on, and other wrestlers are starting to enter the arenas. But my Guru has given me a pat on my back. And then what am I able to do? I'm able to capture the 5 challengers. So what are the 5 challengers over here that he's talking about? The 5 challengers, a lot of us kind of end up know what Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar are, right? So we kind of take those 5 vices, and those 5 vices usually control our mind. Those are the ones that, stop us from doing the right action that we want to. And so Guru Sahib is explaining to us, hey, you want to be the wrestler? The wrestler is the one who is wrestling these 5 little vices inside of them constantly. Once you're able to, with the support of my Guru, right? Kind of saying the Guru patted my back. That's the support of my Guru. I was able to capture them and bring them into my own control. And that's how I am able to become this complete warrior, is what I can come to understand it as. That's what I understand from these Shabads. And in the end, he says, सब इकट्ठे 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 होए आया कर जासन वाट वटाया गुरमुख लाहा ले गए मनमुख चले मूल गवाए जियो. So yes, everyone has gathered together. We're all going to kind of, have to look inwards, go back into our in to our homes. But those, who are guru words, who are understanding the guru's teachings, who are following the guru's teachings, who are able to act upon the guru's teachings, those are the ones who are really reaping the profits right now. And those who are focused on themselves, who are letting the five challengers win all the time, over and over again, they're losing their investments, and they end up leaving. They end up not being able to be here, to be present, so to say. So that kind of brings it all together for me, that you start with capturing or fighting these five challengers, and then understanding what your guru support is, and being completely imbued with love, and that's what makes you a Sudha. So I am going to leave you with this question, that if you would like to share with us, that would be wonderful. Do you know a Sudha in your life? Excuse me. If you can share uh, who you possibly consider a Sudha, and why you consider such a person a Sudha. What is it about that person? We would love to hear. And the other thing to think about is, what kind of things can you do to help develop yourself into becoming a Sudha? So I'm going to kind of end it over there, Kirandeep. If we've had questions, we can take that. I don't know why my uh, PowerPoint goes out when I try to look for your questions or the things, but I'll leave it at that for now. Any questions so far, or any thoughts, any suggestions?
So thank you, Jasmine Kaur, for presenting such informative webinar. It definitely opened my horizons to look at Sura's many stories I actually had no knowledge of. So it was great to listen to it. So we do have one question from Dr. Dave Singh. What about recent martyrs? So
Yes, there are many. I chose not to use those in this particular webinar, similar to not using some of the earlier called warriors, also, is just because I thought there is maybe a little bit more information readily available about that. But one example that comes to my mind is, Jaswant Singh Kalra, for example, and what he did, and what he continued to do, where he was able to uh, figure out that the government has basically disappeared thousands of Gursikhs, and thousands of Sikhs, not knowing uh, where they were or what they were. Now, I'm not going to give you detailed information about it, but you guys are welcome to go and do research on him, read about him. But that's one example that comes to mind, is just one thing, cholera. Um, so yes, absolutely. Anyone else who wants to share someone who they might consider Sura?
So we're waiting for people to ask. And in case if anybody wants to ask instead of typing, please let me know and I will unmute you. I think there's none. I just feel that this webinar actually leaves us with a lot to think about, especially the two
Yes.
questions that you asked at the end.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and
we, we
those are questions that we want to leave you with because we want you to think and we want you to look, uh, within yourself and around you to see uh, who are those Gursikhs whose company we want to be in so that we can feel that happiness. Remember from that Shabad? In the end, Guru Sahib talks about that. So these are definitely questions that we should ask ourselves and continuously ask ourselves, not only kind of listen to it in the webinar and then kind of move on, but continuously ask ourselves so that we can see where are we and what are we doing to help overcome our challenges.
Right. There is one more question. It is from Amarjot Gill. He writes, I wish to know rather than saying Guru started military class, shouldn't it be warrior class? The difference. I was once in a class and teacher said 10th Guru started political and military classes, which didn't sound right.
Guru Sahib, I don't think it's fair to say Guru Sahib started any class. Uh, Guru Sahib didn't make a distinction. The whole my understanding of what Guru Nanak Sahib said and Guru Gobind Singh Sahib said was the same. There is no difference between me and you because the divine is within me as there is divine within another individual. Um, the military tradition kind of started during the time of Guru Har Gobind Sahib. Guru Har Gobind Sahib started asking his Sikhs to bring him horses. Like we spoke about, bring me horses, bring me some weaponry, because we need to start. They were kind of foreseeing what was to happen, right? Until from the time of Guru Nanak Sahib to the time of, let's say, Guru Arjan Sahib, there wasn't really a physical battle that the Sikhs had to necessarily take part in. But remember, during this time, I had said that Guru Nanak Sahib actually did have a weapon, and his weapon was the pen. His Bani was the weapon. His Bani that he spoke during his imprisonment was a weapon of its own. So I think it's important for us not to get into these linguistics of military class, or I think the importance is more what is Guru Sahib trying to explain to us. I hope I understood your question fairly right to respond in that way.
Yeah, he says, thank you. Yes, you did.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know.
Mhm.
So, if there are no other questions, is this a good time to maybe wrap up, Karen? Or
Yeah, yeah, we don't have any more questions, looks like.
okay,
Um, I'm going to say thank you all for your questions, and please be reminded that these webinars are provided for free, but there is a cost associated with the technology and administration. If you feel you have benefited from this particular webinar or others in the past, please consider making a donation to SikhRI or becoming a webinar sponsor. More details can be obtained in the follow-up email or you will receive, or you can email us at info@sikhri.org. And as a reminder, everyone, please wait a few seconds before for the link to appear on the follow-up survey. Your feedback is extremely important to SikhRI, and we appreciate your time. Thank you, Jasmine Kaur, and thank you, our Eeb Sangat. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa,
Khalsa,
Waheguru Ji Ki
Waheguru
Fateh.
Ji Ki Fateh.